Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Coffee and Code podcast, where we demystify emerging technologies by talking to the innovators across industries who are actually using them. I'm your host, Ashley Coffey, and I'm so excited to be paired with a special guest today. Joseph Kirk is our special guest. Welcome to the show, Joseph.
Hey, thanks for having me. Been looking forward to this all week.
Me too. Me too. Just a little bit about you, Joe. You bring over a decade of experience as a real estate agent and strategist, representing Lake Sotheby's International Realty and specializing in Adena and its surrounding communities, which is in
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah. So for our global listeners listening, Minnesota is beautiful. I myself am coming from Oklahoma, so we got a lot of great representation here. But Joe specifically, his expertise is around innovation in marketing strategies and extensive networking. And he ensures his clients receive exceptional service, whether they be buying, selling, or relocating. So a lot to dive into here today, but I'm so excited for you to be here. Thank you, Joe. And the reason why I wanted to have you on the show is because I know power users when I see them, and we connected through a mutual client of ours who is really big into technology. And I figured, why not bring you on the show to share more about how you think? Because I think the way that you described letting the process lead the way versus the tool is how I operate within my consultancy. So I would love to dive in to a little bit more about you, Joe, a little bit more about your strategic vision. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I mean, it's funny too, because it doesn't take long to realize how important process is to anything, whether it's your
Mhm.
business, your life. I mean, I've got 3 kids as well. So my wife and I are both in the real estate business. And then we've got 3 kids outside of that. So a lot of things to be juggling around. So processes, systems, technology, these are all musts for us. And that's the reason why we've implemented them, because I'm a lot like other people, that if it wasn't necessary, I wouldn't necessarily implement it, right? But you just see the value add of creating efficiency, whether that's in CRM, your processes, all of those types of things. Like when you can streamline that and create efficiency. And for us, it's really simple. It's like the more efficiency we create, the more time we have with our family. Like that's the carrot for us. For other people, other agents I work with, it's, they want to spend more time on their hobbies, or they just want to, scale up their business even further. They just want to take that time and just put it right back into the business and watch it scale up. So a little bit about me. Let's see. I fell in love with like CRMs, processes. The first thing I did when I became an agent was sit through 30 CRM demos.
Whoa. Oof, that's rough.
Was rough. It was really, really rough. So like I kind of made it my mission for other agents to not have to do that, right? And to be
Mhm.
able to get some guidance on how to identify that correct CRM and then obviously implement it into their business process. And that's kind of how we met, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how we met and got connected, which was exciting.
It is. Thank you for sharing that, Joe. I feel like you have a lot of different pieces that have contributed to how you set your processes up as a reflection of how you think. And that
Hmm.
is beautiful. And that takes a lot of self awareness and a lot of, I would say, detail oriented strategy. So, talk me through one when you got into real estate. When did you notice that, oh my gosh, I need to bake in some efficiency into my practice?
Right away.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was very lucky and fortunate that I was successful very early. But the one thing that necessitates then is, oh my gosh, I've only got 24 hours in the day. How do I squeeze more and more and more time out of that 24 hours? And it just led me to processes. I've got a great coach. Ironically, the client that we share, we have the same coach.
Nice.
And he has helped me, and I would recommend to anybody in any industry to have a coach, mentor, somebody to help direct you in identifying what processes are important for you, what systems are important for you, how you best work. Because sometimes we don't
Hmm.
realize it, right? Like we don't see it because we're so close to the puzzle, and we see all these shiny things like, oh my gosh, what can ChatGPT do for me? Or what can a CRM do for me? Or what can, I mean, a lot of agents that I bump into, like, what does hiring look like? And I think we can get into that a little bit later with the technology and hiring and how that's changed the practice
Oh my
too.
gosh, yeah.
I mean, definitely in my world, in terms of, I joke, I'm like, I keep wanting to add to my team, but I keep getting more efficient. I keep finding the tools that
Yeah.
align with what my vision is. And I think you did touch on this a little bit earlier. Is, one of the things that I've really worked hard on doing is aligning tools with what my vision is versus, I think it's really, really simple and common that a lot of people will see these tools like, oh, I'm hearing everybody talk about AI and I'm hearing everybody talk about CRMs or whatever tool that they're researching that seems to be the thing that will unlock my business. Well, that's only true if you know how to utilize the tool and you know how that tool fits into your vision and what you want to do.
Hmm. Agreed.
And that's where I work from is, when I work with people, I spend a lot of time understanding how they do their business because
Hmm.
in our mutual client, they've become incredibly successful doing what they've done, doing it the way that they do it. Now they've identified like, hey, I want to create efficiency. There's some low hanging fruit. I missed this opportunity or this opportunity because I'm capped out. And to hear what those things are, and for anybody that's listening to this to go, what really matters in my business and how do I conduct my business? And it doesn't even matter if you're a real estate agent or what business you're in, is like, what do I do well? And I want to optimize that first. I don't want to take the thing I really stink at and make it okay. You'll get there, but what you really want to do is use these tools to make the things that you're already good at, and you want to be like superstar 1% in the world at those things, because then you can work off of that. And this is where, like, for me and my business is, okay, so it's myself and my wife. I mean, when I brought my wife on a year ago, the skill sets that she have are completely different than mine, and it's been fun to try to optimize systems and processes for for her strengths. And then it's like, okay, well, now we've done both of those things, and it's like, well, now what's interesting is we've got to probably hire somebody else. And so what systems and strengths can we align with them? Like, so what process of identifying what their strengths are?
Hmm.
Like we do a lot of personality testing.
Oh, which ones?
So we'll do
Like
what
DISC or Myers
disc we
Briggs?
did, and then we did what's the one? There's a book I just
Clifton Strengths Finders?
Yes, Strength Finder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that
Yes.
one.
Thank you. That's a great one to start with. And again, I think so much about, and what I love about your podcast and the episodes that I've listened to is you hear people have core values and missions, and then they align the technology with those things. And that's when it seems to be that there's success. When you're just using the technology for technology reasons, it may help you, it may not help you. And in some ways, it might distract you. And so getting really clear on people's strengths and what they're good at, what you're good at, if you're listening to this for yourself or your team, strengths and understanding that, and then going, what is out there for technology that can align with that? And then who can, like, and I think of you, right? Like, and the services that you provide and how helpful that is in kind of bringing that full circle. I think that's why we connected so well, as you're searching for that in your clients and going, there's so much technology out here, and you can really get stuck in the weeds searching for the technology, and you hire somebody like you that helps optimize all of those things and gather that. Like, what an incredibly valuable job that you've kind of created for yourself, because it's so
Thank you.
needed. And I even look at it and I'm like, man, we should talk.
Yeah, right.
Because, like, even when you know something, you're like, you realize just how limited. And I'm only looking at it through the aperture of my lens too. Like, my favorite thing about what you've brought, and especially to this podcast too, is you've got this super wide aperture when it comes to technology and all these really cool applications, like in shoes and in, I don't know, like, like all these different things. And you go, how are people not thinking about it because they're just so close to the puzzle? And you have this super wide aperture and you go, well, I mean, I've
Mhm.
worked with this company that is not even closely related to what you're doing, but their value sets were similar. Their structures and systems for achieving that were similar, but this is a completely different business. And to be able to bring that in and utilize that technology in that way and to align it with core values, strengths, and all of these things, right? I mean, that's really the technology. We talked about this
Thank you.
offline is like technology is the tool. It's
Yeah.
ultimately the person that's using the tool that's the important piece because it's easy to align the tool, the right tool with a person. You go, oh, look at that. And then, and they thank you greatly for the optimization that you just created in their life. But the opposite is very true. You align the wrong tool, something that's too complicated or just doesn't resonate or align with the client, and it's destructive. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, I got a question back to you really quick. I know that, but
Yeah,
how do you
of
identify the
course.
right tool for the client when there are multitudes of personalities like within a team? Like how
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
establish that?
That's a great question, which, Joe, thank you for bringing this up. I feel like very rarely get questions like this. So, I have a process that I use. I do interviews with each team member to understand their personality, their background, their level of comfortability with technology. Are they an early adopter? Are they a resistor? What is their pain point? And what is something that I can tie into as an anchor point to help them understand the bigger picture, whether that be through analogies or relating to something that they already know about. And that kind of process came through when I was working at Apple. But I also have an assessment. So I have my own matrix and formula through my Software Scout guide. If I'm making recommendations for software based on the person's priority or the business's priorities and what they use as their North Star metric, I
Hmm.
take the priorities that the business has and I run the tools against my own matrix of does it meet at least 80 to 90% of probability of what the client wants. If it does, it passes the mark. If it doesn't make the cut. And that percentage point is based on what I uncover with the client meeting during our discovery and during our actual onboarding to make sure they're getting the most value out of not just the time, but the money they're investing in as well. And to me, that's more long term success than just giving someone an email. It's like, here are some tools that I think might work for you. Maybe not. But you're right.
Yeah,
It's about
listen to
being
the
very
strategy in
personal
that.
and being detailed.
Super strategic too. I like it too because one of my sayings with things is it's either a hell yes or a hell no, and
Yes, Jen
that
Sincero.
yep, yep. And so, like, what I like about the system that you've created around your analysis is you determine pretty quickly if it's a hell yes or a hell no based on, the personality traits, the characteristics. I think that's amazing. I think that in of itself is worth the price of admission with because I do think people convolute that way too much where either somebody is kind of a little command and conquer with their team and it's like, no, it's going to be my way even though the team is executing 80% of the work. And it helps you then be able to take
Mhm.
that information back to the, like, say, a team or a leader or say, well, I get it that you think it should work this way. However, your key players that are going to actually execute this for you don't align with this at all. However,
Yeah.
here's an opportunity that could get us to your goal using their strengths. Because like I think of that for myself. Like I've been guilty of being a little controlling and or command and conquer in my business. And one of the things that I learned is that you have to communicate to your team at their in their tone, their level, and then teach them to communicate to you at your level. So like think of how much like learning has to happen in order for that
Right?
to successfully because we don't communicate effectively to other people typically. We typically
No.
communicate the way that we want to hear it. And then, so there's always breakdown in that system, right? Because I think
Yes.
of how much, I mean, I have this all the time, and it's my wife. Like, it's somebody who knows me, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, I think about it and I'm like, now imagine, Joe, you've got to talk to a team member that isn't your wife that is
Yeah.
literally embedded into your system and into your life. And like, how do you like the methodology of doing that? And I just love what you laid out there, that how much that assesses for that, right? And then allows you to be somebody that kind of connects all that together. And that's effectively what the technology is going to do, right? Like you're kind of the person version of what you're implementing in the technology is, hey, I'm assessing what the needs, how everybody communicates, what their adoption curve is. Like, can I put a really technical piece of a tool that's very technical at them, or is it something that we got to break down into a smaller pieces and roll out in phases? And that kind of like gets to how I got to my system with the CRM training that I do is, I mean, I solved for that person that is like the non-adopter,
Yeah.
right? Like is
Exactly.
they're a spreadsheet and or notebook or in their brain,
Mhm.
and really tried to go from 0 to 1.
Yes.
And what I've found in all technology implementation, if you can get people from 0 to 1, you've accomplished that to that metrics that you're trying to measure about 90% of that. Because
Wow.
typically what it is that people aren't using a tool and need to be using a tool that 0 to 1 is the game changer. And then,
Absolutely.
you can take that 1 to 10, but that specialization sometimes isn't what really is required, but it's just that generalized application of a tool that then amplifies what they're already doing to a point where it completely changes their life and they gain all that time back.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Joe. And I think we can both relate. And this comes from the literature we've read, the coaches that we've worked with. And I think mine comes from, I read in a book called The Win Without Pitching Manifesto by Blair Enns. And he talks about the platinum rule superseding the golden rule. Everyone knows the golden rule is like treat others how you want to be treated. No, treat others how they want to be treated. And it works both ways of being able to come to their level because not everyone is going to meet you at your level. We're all different. We all have a different set of cards, different world lens that we see the world through. So we can't just expect someone to meet us where we are at any point in time. So that's why I take that approach of meeting people where they are because we're all at different spots. And I'm curious for you, what is your North Star metric?
For me in our business, the only metric that really matters, I mean, minus, obviously keeping the lights on.
Of course. But yeah.
But I mean, it's literally the client experience from end to end.
Hmm.
And ensuring we're constantly doing the right thing at the right time with the right message, with the right tool, the right resource. And when we effectively execute that, the level of experience that you have is unmatched. Like, and we really
Hmm.
pride ourselves on that end client experience. And, it's funny, and I don't know if you can swear on here, but like,
Yes, this is for anyone.
okay,
Do
like
whatever you want.
so like the amount of shit that we eat
Yeah,
for the
for real.
client experience, and rightfully so. Like it's one of these things. It's like, well, who else is going to deal with it? Like typically that's the conversation my wife and I are having is we'll get to a point and we're like, wow, we really need to step in here and make sure the client experience is correct here. And it's usually us doing something. It's, taking care of like having a house cleaned that was left dirty and it's not even our house, right? Like it's
Oh my
not even our
gosh.
listing. It's our buyer that's coming in. Hey, we're going to have a cleaner coming in literally the moment we're signing papers. They're never going to know. They're never going to know it wasn't clean, but we took care of it so that when they walk into their house the first time, boom, that client experience. It's just those
Wow.
little things that elevate the level of service to an unexpected. Like that's what we always think about is like, how do we make this experience unexpected? And we want people to go, wow, this was easy. Wow, I didn't think it could be like this. Wow. Like those are the compliments to us that we listen for.
Hmm.
And it means that we're doing something. Now, if we start to hear things that aren't that,
Hmm.
it's an indicator for us to reevaluate systems and process, right? And go, well, where
Hmm.
are we falling down? Where have maybe our business has grown too much where that personalization is breaking down somewhere? And
Mm.
how do we use technology and or resources to gap that? Because it's so funny, like a lot of people in our industry, in my industry, is they gap it with people. And it's like, I just need another body. I need
Yeah.
somebody that is like And I have always approached my business of what piece of technology can help me be more available for my client. So, am I utilizing a CRM that cuts down my time that I'm in looking for history,
Hmm.
information on, are there conversations that I have regularly that I can template? Are there things that I can do that just optimize my time, that keep me moving in the right direction and keep doing the things that I'm best at? And again, I think that this is the real core of this conversation already is how do you align technology to allow whoever's doing the work to do what they're best at and or makes the most money for them, depending on what your matrix is. In all honesty, money does not motivate me. Client experience has always motivated me. A
I love that.
satisfied client that then refers additional people. Like I've got a client that literally is, you have to talk to Joe. I'll get introductions and it'll be, oh my gosh, I ran into Julie and she said, I had to talk to you.
Wow.
It's like, oh, okay, great. Like
That's
then
priceless.
that's driven by client experience. And do I get to make money doing it? Well, that's the idea. Like, I mean, what's interesting is a lot of people are like, what's your dream profession? And for me, like, let's say real estate disappeared, AI takes it over tomorrow. I just find the next thing. I'd find the next thing that I can deliver the highest level of client experience. So like that is a North Star that you can change the industry, right? Like you
Hmm.
can change what the job is. Or here's the best part of it. This is my favorite is that if and when I ever decide not to work, I can still drive a high level of client experience in service, a high
Absolutely.
level of in whatever I'm doing. If I'm, let's say I dive into my church, like faith is super important, key driver for Kelly and I. And we decided to do that client experience. And like, in your head, you can define what that client is. If it's, somebody coming into the church or somebody that's involved with the church and you want to disciple them, whatever that looks like. That's the true North Star is that experience. How do I use the tools and gifts that I've been given to deliver an experience that is unlike anything anybody's ever seen? So you can literally apply that to anything. And then what's really fun about that is now you can attach technology to that.
Hmm. Yes.
And then you can lever technology to really enhance that experience because we only have 24 hours in a day, but leveraging technology, you can arbitrage that, right? And I mean, then that's what you're seeing with the emergence of AI.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know about you, excited to see the first billionaire that's running a Fortune 500 company from their parents' basement.
Exactly. We're seeing, yes.
And watch it like melt down the entire structure of how business works, right? Because I mean, we know that's coming. Like anybody that it doesn't think that that's coming on some level isn't paying any attention.
Exactly. You have to stay tapped in.
So that's our
Wow.
North Star. I love it. I can go down all kinds of little rabbit holes with all that, but
I love
but
that.
our North Star is just client experience.
Yes, and I like being relentless about that
Hmm.
as well. There's so much literature. Unreasonable Hospitality is one of those books that goes above and beyond about how you can go above and beyond for your clients. I learned that at Apple too. A lot of key tenets of Apple are around surprise and delight, going above and beyond, under promising, over delivering. You'll notice little bits and pieces. And Apple literally designed their customer experience program after the Four Seasons. And there's so much like little detail that people don't realize because it's so natural, because it's such an undercurrent, it feels like it's natural. So I love that you've intertwined that as your North Star because that is what sets you out and apart from everyone else who is, of course, looking at money. It's the primary motivating driver, which it's great. It's the cherry on top. But that satisfaction of going above and beyond for your clients and getting a text from them saying, "We love the holiday gift that you sent us, even though we bought our house 2 years ago. Thank you for thinking of us. You're staying top of mind with your technology." I think that's a beautiful way to set yourself apart with your clientele.
Well, and I think deep down too, I mean, I would argue that this is probably everybody, but some people express it differently. Is that our core objective in life is to impact the world, right? And now you can decide how that looks for you,
Hmm.
right? For some people, it's, I want to be so successful that I impact the world, right?
Mm,
For some people, it's, I want to impact so many people's lives that I impact the world. And it's just about what that posture and what that focus is that kind of determines the difference between transactional and personal and relationship, right? And I'll be the first one to say there's no wrong way to do it as long as it aligns with your core principles and your North Star, right?
Mhm.
So for us, having it be the client experience, you start to see little areas where somebody that's maybe a little bit more transactional and like status driven and or like outcome driven of where we're going to just move in different directions. Like our pathway there will be through people versus through achievement, like through numbers or through because I did this. Like one of my favorite things is you want to be successful is stack so many wins on top of each other where it becomes undeniable, right?
Mm.
And it's undeniable, you stack so much undeniable evidence that that's the only outcome that, or that's the only logical result that anybody would come up with. Like because you've sold $200 million of real estate because your average price point is this, because you blah, 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 is all of those things are the deriving factor of your success. Whereas for myself and my wife, we look at this and go, our success, regardless of what their price point is, regardless of how much real estate that we sell, is we want every person to be a raving fan of us and the experience that they have. And if we do that enough, that's the result. So
Mhm.
it's just a different angle of coming at the same thing. And so for me, like when I run into somebody who is extremely successful and transactional, I applaud them. There's a local agent here that's like that, and he's got billboards and all this stuff, and everybody loves to make fun of him. And I'm like, but here's the deal. He established what he wanted. He established what his goals and objectives were, and he's doing it. Now, the methodology may not be the way that you want to do it, but don't discount his success because of the manner in which he did it. If that was his North Star and his thing, it may not be mine. And you know what? I get a lot of clients that don't want to work with somebody like him, but because he exists is the reason why I can exist too, right? Right? Like it's
Yeah,
that dichotomy. And there's plenty of room in the pool for everybody. And
exactly.
that's the fun thing where a lot of people get into that scarcity mindset of like, because they do it that way, I have to do it that way. And that just simply isn't true. And, to kind of go back to the beginning part of this conversation is establishing what your strengths are and how what drives you and what's important to you and your North Star. Once you've done that, now you can align the technology to help support you with that, right? And to help get you there.
I love that. I'm definitely going to pull a couple of those quotes that you just said for promo because I think you hit the nail on the head there on so many aspects. Keeping it simple, do what you do best and hire out the rest. Just really be relentless about that why. And I think that why is so important and that why is going to be different for everyone. Like with this podcast, I started this 5 years ago. My why was getting it out there, but impacting people, sharing and democratizing information about technology so everyone can be a part of it. And to me, that's success. Success isn't joining the Sirius XM network. Success isn't 29 countries from around the world who are listening. I mean, that's great. Those are the cherries on top, but the success is the doing, is the getting it out there. And to those people who are wanting to ridicule us for putting things out there, to that, I say, what are you doing? Do not ridicule if you're not willing to put yourself out there because it's hard and you do it all the time.
Well, and even more so. So what's interesting is a lot of people hoard information, education, whatever they consider as their silver bullet, which doesn't exist, by the way, because once you extrapolate any of that information out and apply it to whatever yours is, it's going to be different. Like your application, no matter, like nobody is the same. You might have similar. My favorite thing is I'm just like you. I am open book out because I'm a constant learner. And so when somebody iterates something I do better than me, I iterate it right back. And if I don't do that, that's on me. That's not on them. They did the work. They took in the information, they put it through their filter and they improved on it. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like if anything, if what I've found that people that hoard information and or just don't like to share is that they don't want to grow anymore, that
Exactly.
they've gone to a level and they're comfortable and they don't want to grow anymore. So anybody with a growth mindset tends to look at that and go, that's just silly. And I can only take something to a certain level and then it kind of plateaus, right? And then there's a necessity of needing additional input. And so I
Absolutely.
think that's where a lot of people fall flat when they try to protect information. So hats off to you to continue to be democratizing all of that information. And again, one of the things that you talk about on the show a lot is AI. I mean, information is going to be worth zero. Education, information, zero in the not so distant future. So then you go, okay, so all of this stuff that I'm hoarding that is quote unquote information, everybody's going to have access to it. That doesn't mean that everybody uses it, right? But everybody's going to have access to it. And now what? Now, this thing that I think is so valuable, everybody can do. Now, what are the differentiators? I don't know. That's a soul searching thing to look at. And I go, how do you impact people? How do you serve people? What do you care about? What are the values that you instill? How do you want to impact the world? Because one of the negative byproducts I could see of AI, and we can extrapolate it forward, whether that's 3, 5, 20 years down the road, and say, well, what's our meaning?
Mm,
Well, our meaning is the same thing it's always been: relationships,
yes.
people, adding value, being of service. It doesn't matter if AI is there or not. That's those things are true. And I love envisioning a world where I have 100% of my time to serve and add value to people's lives, and whatever that looks like, and have relationship.
Yes.
Imagine if we don't need to work and we can just like be in relationship with people and celebrate one another and understand one another better. Like, think about how much we don't understand people because we're so busy.
Yeah. Man, I know. It breaks my heart.
And you just wonder. I just heard this quote. When the devil can't make you bad, he makes you busy. And so, like, you talk about streamlining technology and adding all of that time. Like, and again, like, I go back to like, what are you adding time for? Are you just busying yourself? Like, again, not to like, espouse my faith on your show, but it's
This is
like,
a
what do you,
place for anyone and everyone. Everyone's
what do you
welcome.
do with that time? Am I going to the bars and, you know, and I don't judge that. I mean, if
Yeah.
that's what you want to do, and but how do you add value to other people? And I look at it as technology as a tool for additional value add. And one of my favorite things about being with Sotheby's is a lifestyle brand, right? So
Yes, it
it's
is.
so the better you live, the better your business is. And I tell you what, with the agents that I help and I coach, the agents that kill it and do such an amazing job live really well. And I mean, that's what attracts them to the Sotheby's brand in general, is that it's a lifestyle brand. So it's a reflection. Their clients are a reflection of how they live. And so the more that they can dive into how they live and lever technology, lever all of this so that they're not spending time doing data entry or research or this, and they can be spending all that time getting into their people and serving and being part of the community that they're part of. That's it. And so, like, that's my kind of, I don't want to say like rosy outcome of where I think AI goes, is that we can all spend time with each other and just enjoy each other and just who we are. And what I really hope is that we get to use AI as a tool, better understanding each other,
Yeah, me
better
too.
understanding these gaps and of understanding, because that's what exists today, is that we have these huge gaps of understanding. And no matter where you fall on any sort of spectrum, political, religious, or it doesn't matter. It's if we can lever technology to gap that and understand, like my favorite thing, the new earbuds, right?
Oh
That
my
can
God, I have
translate,
some.
that
They're so
live
freaking
translate.
cool.
Do they work awesome?
They work amazingly. And I have the Meta Ray-Bans that also do the live translation. Both are fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Like, I look at that and I go, that single thing, game changer. Like, everybody applies it. Everybody applies it solely to like, hey, if I'm traveling, I can communicate with, with the country that I'm in, with people and all of that. Forget that. The true application of this, and this is where we have a lot of tension around immigration and all of these things. Well, yeah, it's hard when you've got entire groups of people that don't speak a language, or we don't speak their language, or we don't have any idea what they're trying to communicate to us. Yeah, that makes a lot of things. There's a lot of tension in that. You take away that tension and you realize that, well, they're just trying to do the same thing I am.
Yep.
You just boosh, all those barriers are gone. Just think about Like, and so hats off to Apple. And I mean, I'm sure everybody is working on that technology, but these are just the small applications of these things in connecting. And it's like, I look at it for my world and go, how amazing will it be to be able to, instead of go, "Oh, I've got to refer this client that, English is their second language and we're just having a hard time,
Hmm.
and then finding an agent that speaks Spanish or Mandarin or whatever it is that I can then do that, and then to be able to translate all the paperwork into that, and then to be able to do, like, I mean, the application of those technologies is just, as a value add, is just absurd. It's just absurd is really the answer that most people should be using. It's an embarrassment of riches that we have right at our fingertips, and I can't wait for it to be mainstream. Because
Me
all
too.
of like all of the divide, tension, and everything that we have in our world is information
Hmm.
disconnect
So much.
and language disconnect. Whether it's you're speaking the same language, whether you're speaking English, but your philosophy of that language is different. So yeah, I don't know. I'm much more bullish and optimistic about where technology can take us. Yes, there's always pitfalls and things to be scared of. A lot of technology in the wrong hands, of course, can be extremely dangerous and scary. But I don't know. I've always been better angels tend to prevail. And
Yes.
when you democratize technology down, it gives you a higher likelihood that I think that the end outcome is going to be positive.
Agreed. I agree because we shouldn't have to wait for retirement to experience those connections or those relationships or those positive outcomes. That's very well said, Joe. Now, one of my last questions for you is a really big one. What emerging technologies are you most excited to experiment with next? I know you're using AI in your firm, you're an early adopter. Is there anything else you're excited about?
I would say, I mean, so I'll just keep it specific to I mean, because I'm a nerd and like, I mean, I'll be the first one to say, like, I can't wait until there's like the true like VR experience in gaming. Like whenever
Yeah.
that starts to happen, like me and my boys, we love to play games and
Oh, I
stuff,
love
and like
that.
to be able to have the immersive, and then they're with their mom 50% of the time, and to be able to like actually like VR in and be there with them, whether they're there or not, right? Like physically would be just so cool. I'll just keep it to an application to the business. Here is that same thing is like a true virtual reality environment where you don't even have to be anywhere near a home to experience that home,
Yeah.
that you'll be able to experience that home virtually, and
Yes.
or and then I also look at it and I'm pragmatic enough of going like, man, it'd be really great not to have to drive all over the place. And instead you start to hone your toolkit around negotiating and or learning what I like to call that 1 yard line items.
Mm,
That thing that where technology goes up to that 1 yard line, but is having a hard time getting all the way over and to stopgap that for as long as humanly possible. Because no matter how fast this technology gets developed, we still have an adoption curve
yes.
where great, your early adopters, they're going to have full AI, full blah, 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 all that stuff, right? You're still going to have the people who are like, I need to see it before I can even think about trying it. And then you're going to have the people that are like, now that everybody else is doing it, I guess I'll do it. And that adoption curve is going to take some time. Now, I think it's going to be way faster than, say, the internet or
Oh, yeah.
social media, but there's a lot of time and there's a lot of people to help. So again, I'm going to take my North Star client experience. Okay, you're a client. Early adopters may not be my client. Boy, the people they want to connect the dot. Cool. Now, how can I be the conduit that connects that dot? And then the late adopters, great. How can I provide a platform and a level of service that then bridges that gap? And do that as long as humanly possible. Like, am I going, oh my gosh, 30 years from now, I'm going to be slinging houses and, this business is going to look exactly the same? Not a chance, right?
Yeah.
But keeping that North Star makes us agile, right? And going, well, if our North Star is client experience, how do we service the person that is an early adopter? What type of services can we provide to bring that to them? What type of services can we apply to that later adopter, that bigger part of that bell curve? Because I mean, that's really where the money can be made. is when you're catching everybody coming on to the technology, and then you can fill that gap. And I don't think enough people in my industry are thinking about that for sure. They're thinking about how you completely upend and turn it on its head.
Mhm.
I'm just a little simpler, again, going from 0 to 1 and going, "Boy, there's a lot of opportunity in just providing that 0 to 1 user interface."
Yes.
And that's gonna be our goal for the next 3 years. Like, we do 3-year vision cycling. We're
Love that.
big, huge 12-week year, quarterly goals, all that. We just got done with our business planning, and that's one of our core pieces is just going like, how do we continue to be that thing that helps people get to their next thing? So if that's vendor resources and just continuing to hone what those things look like and just continue to iterate that over and over and over and over again, knowing that every quarter is going to require change. And we just go into that knowing that instead of I do think that the false objective of a lot of people is to get to a point and stay there
Yeah. Yeah.
versus again, I feel like that we have such a good North Star that it's how do we apply what we're doing today to that North Star? And then what does tomorrow look like it's bringing? And how do we plan for that? And then how do we make sure that we don't leave anybody behind either? Like make our system so advanced that, somebody that's been in their house for 50 years that just wants to, like, how do we even, like, I don't even know how to access Zoom or whatever,
Yeah.
like, so it's just kind of trying to balance all of those things out.
I love that. That's really good takeaways for people who are listening to the importance of having a North Star, understanding and identifying your why, the importance of keeping it simple. That's been a through line throughout our entire conversation is what is that zero? How can we get from 0 to 1? Yeah, that has the biggest value. And I think any industry that you could possibly be in. But most importantly, is focusing on that relational aspect of benefiting your clients. Of course, they have a great experience. They're going to continue to come back. But the only constant is change. And that's something that I've reminded myself throughout my career. But that's what makes technology exciting. That's why I wanted to make a career out of it, is because it's constantly changing. And I believe we are students of life. And it's nice to be on your toes constantly and having to learn new things. Like, I can't even imagine being in a life where you don't learn new things or don't try new things. So I feel like it's a great world for people to try something new. And you've given everyone some really good nuggets of knowledge to take this further into action and to not get inside your own head and to really lead with that North Star. So thank you for that.
Sure. Yeah, you're welcome. This has been really fun. I really love what you're doing, and I love the messaging that you send to your audience, and that this is accessible. It's here, like it's here. It isn't going anywhere, and there's all kinds of really exciting, new, different types of technologies, and this is what you should know about them. And if you really want help, I can help with that. That's what my business is. Like
Exactly.
literally helping you
Yes.
identify that. I I was blown away. Like the single thing when I asked a question back to you and you had such an amazing process of how you identify. I think that's huge. Like that's incredible. Like I'm actually going to steal a little bit of that
Please do it.
with the client experience, right? Like, and
Yeah,
going, here's my assessment because we do all that stuff, right? Like, here's a little
exactly.
bit more of like a technical aspect of how we identify whether we're a good fit or not. And if you're not a 9 or a 10, we're not working together. I love that because my single favorite thing to say to clients is, guess what? We're interviewing each other. I'm
Ooh,
interviewing you
yes.
too. This
I like
isn't
that.
a one way street because the last thing I want is to work with somebody that isn't the right fit, where our tools and our philosophy, our North Star, don't align with. And if we have the ability to assess that quickly, which I love that again, of how you assess the teams that you work on quickly to go, oh, this technology is not going to work here because this will be far too complicated. And or wow, they've got a team that is so much more advanced than say the leader or the founder or whatever. We've got an opportunity to implement some technology that maybe the founder doesn't even realize, right? I can go, holy smokes, and we can blow the socks off. I just
Thank
love
you.
that. I love that so much.
I appreciate that, and no one has ever asked me about that process, and it came really naturally, and I kept it simple. I asked myself, what are the things that I need to know to make decisions? And of course, that's the data, and then backing your way out of what do we the 7 habits of highly effective people begin with the end in mind. How do we deconstruct that and work our way backwards? There's so much to be said about that. And we're humans, like we're going to be unique and different, and we're all going to have different ways in which we see the world. So thank you for that appreciation. And hopefully other people can hear some of the ideas that we've talked about and understand that we're not reinventing the wheel here.
No.
We're doing things that have been around for a long time. So like keep it simple, think down to its basic foundations and then lead from there. Joe, I have a question for you. So, what is something like a last piece of advice you would give our audience who is listening, who needs that little bit of inspiration? What would you tell them?
Two things. Doesn't matter what you do, right? Never underestimate your existing network that you have. I think that it's the number one thing. I mean, I work a lot in CRMs and database management with people in all different kinds of environments, not just real estate. And the single thing that I come across that's the number one is they underestimate the power of their existing network. They think that they have to build it in a different way. And so you can take that very simply is don't underestimate the relationships that you have. And when you get into trouble and or you get stuck or you go to the relationships that you have. I mean,
Mhm.
it's really simple, silly advice, but I do think people tend to look out because there's a word, and I'm guilty of it, is shame.
Oh,
Shame
yeah.
of feeling vulnerable and or not having all the answers to either your team or your community or your client or like whereas in my experience when you are vulnerable that way and you're seeking guidance and help, they're the ones that are the first ones to step up and be like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting 3 years for you to ask me something like that.
Exactly.
And then the other thing, the last thing is, and it's been a through fare in this, is simplify. Like one of my favorites is, most engineers try to optimize something that shouldn't even exist. And I think that's Elon. And is like when it comes to technology, that's my North Star when I'm thinking about technology is like, does this actually need to exist? Or does this need to be this complicated? Like I'll come into all kinds of technologies and be like, holy moly, this is really complicated. It's like,
Yeah.
is there just a simpler basic principle way to do this? The 1 to 0, or 0 to 1, sorry. 1 to 0 would be bad.
Right. Working our way
Zero,
backwards.
yeah, 0 to 1, I think is just a really good philosophy for a lot of people. It's just, I don't need to become an expert, but just how do I learn enough for this to impact my business or who I am?
I like that. And it's never too late as well. I think that couples well with that advice. And speaking of, that's a good segue of it's never too late. For those that are listening that want to get in touch with you, potentially leverage some of your strategic advisement services, where can we find you?
I mean, I've our website, thekirkteamhomes.com. And for all of you around the country, I do about 40% of my business from referrals from outside of the state. So it's like
Wow.
so if you know of somebody that's moving to Minnesota,
Joe's your guy.
yep. And then it's the Kirk Team Lakes on Instagram. And then I mean you can just Google the Kirk team and it's pretty much the only thing that'll show up.
Awesome. Well, I'll be sure to put all of that in the show notes as well. That way, those who are listening can get to you directly and see some of your work and reach out to say thank you for how awesome of a conversation this was. But, Joe, I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule and your busy day, especially on a Monday, to come on the show, share a little bit of expertise, a little bit of inspiration, but a little bit more like some next steps for people. And I cannot thank you enough. So, thank you for taking the time to come on Coffee and Code.
Thanks for having me. This is amazing. I'm really great work that you're doing and keep going. Don't let anybody stop you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to be notified when new episodes go live, and we will talk to you next time. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Coffee and Code. Your support means everything, so be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube for more insights, updates, and behind the scenes content. Stay curious, stay informed. Until next time, stay hydrated and do something nice for someone.